Do you know that Lactobacillus reuteri, one of the wonders of microbiota, can heal symptoms of acute GI symptoms like diarrhea? It can also fix constipation. Do you know that Lactobacillus reuteri has a special effect on metabolism through the microbiota-derived spermidine? If you like this topic, please click the like button and we can proceed. It will be divided into the presentation of the bacteria, the benefits, and how we can preserve the health of the microbiome through lifestyle. Let's begin. Lactobacillus reuteri in the intestines of healthy individuals, its role in regulating gut microbiota and mucosal homeostasis shapes up and needs to be maintained. That showed improvement of pathological conditions such as acute watery diarrhea. This is when you have food poisoning, for example, from rice that's put there out in the room temperature, and this can cause accumulation of enteric organisms, E. coli, for example, that produces toxins. This is called that will give you acute symptoms of acute diarrhea. In Mexico, it's called the revenge of Montezuma. This is the example of how microbiota or the probiotics helps in the GI symptoms. For example, in these authors, they randomized controlled clinical trial of among 86 children between 6 and 36 months of age who tested positive for rotavirus. It is a very common infection. You develop gastrointestinal symptoms like diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting. And the worst thing is you can get dehydrated from this. After using Lactobacillus at 10 to the 10th power or 10 to the 7th colony-forming units of Lactobacillus reuteri once a day for 5 days, the symptoms of acute watery diarrhea improve significantly at 1.5 days, as opposed to 1.9 days using with placebo. So it's dose related as well. So a daily supply of Lactobacillus reuteri, your predisposition to develop these symptoms when you travel might be decreased. So it might be a good idea to maintain such kind of food every day of Lactobacillus reuteri or any types of probiotics or microbiome that you use yourself or you ferment yourself with a high count. I use the fermentation process of Dr. William Davis, and he uses 36 hours of fermentation to give you about 500 colony-forming units per half cup. Then I'm going to do this myself in Ave Maria to count the bacteria using this fermentation. This will be coming up in July. For example, another study showed that in randomized study, acute watery diarrhea up to 15 hours in children aged between 3 months and 5 years, this decreased the length of the hospital stay. After 2 days of treatment with Lactobacillus reuteri, R-E-U-T-E-R-I, equivalent to 55% of children were diarrhea-free versus 15% of children in the placebo group. That's pretty significant. You will improve the symptoms, and the disease process is pretty much cut into half number of days that you will be suffering from diarrhea. Urbanska et al. In review highlighted in that the frequency of diarrhea in children with the trials of 1,229 participants treated with Lactobacillus reuteri at a dose range from 1 times 10 to the 8th power to 4 times 8 to the 8th power CFU daily for 5 to 7 days was surprisingly low. The frequency of diarrhea significantly decreased using this dose of Lactobacillus reuteri. So another studies also by Szymanski et al. Concluded that Lactobacillus reuteri at a dosage of 2 times 10 to the 8th CFU for 5 days could help in the management of acute watery diarrhea in children, shortening the duration of hospitalization. So at least 3 studies proved consuming high dose of Lactobacillus reuteri. So when you have irritable bowel syndrome, for example, that manifests with diarrhea and constipation, it might be worthwhile to try Lactobacillus reuteri yogurt. Another impact is that on the impact of Lactobacillus reuteri in the antibiotics Helicobacter pylori eradication treatment. Helicobacter pylori, which is very common, especially in Asians, can predispose you to gastric ulcer. That's why specialists would treat this with antibiotics, a triple treatment really, PPI or proton pump inhibitor, and 2 other antibiotics. But the problem is treatment with antibiotics would also predispose you to another disease entity called Clostridium difficile colitis or diarrhea. So out of curiosity, this scientist used Lactobacillus reuteri in the eradication of Helicobacter pylori or H. pylori. They reported that Lactobacillus reuteri was effective in HP eradication and in particular in prevention of gastrointestinal symptoms such as abdominal pain, diarrhea, nausea and vomiting, and bloating associated with the use of antibiotics in the treatment of H. pylori eradication. So this is big. This is very hopeful because by using food, Lactobacillus reuteri yogurt, you can fix another disease entity, H. pylori. Moreover, Lactobacillus reuteri was shown to increase the production of mucin itself, the reuteri, which is another substance, and antioxidant substances which stabilize the mucosal barrier, which is very common when you have stress. Lactobacillus reuteri is helpful in also stimulating the mucosal immunity of the gastrointestinal tract, with beneficial health effects on the dysbiosis, gut microbiota after the use of antibiotics and anti-secretory treatments in the eradication of H. pylori. It has also been shown in another subset of pathology, as I said, constipation. If you have constipation, that's another spectrum, consider using Lactobacillus reuteri yogurt. Even in adults, Lactobacillus treatment with constipation in adults showed some promise because the Lactobacillus would produce the short-chain fatty acids, acetate, propionate, and butyrate that helps in the healing of the intestinal permeability and also the dysbiosis. So this is very hopeful in the many pathologies of gastrointestinal tract, such as watery diarrhea, constipation, and also the treatment of H. pylori infection and constipation. If you like this topic so far, please subscribe and share. I'm going to tell you about the other aspect of Lactobacillus reuteri benefits. I'm talking about the attenuation of Lactobacillus of the metabolic syndrome via microbiota-derived spermidine, which is produced indirectly by the Lactobacillus reuteri. In the study published by Yan Fei et al., metabolic syndrome, which consists of hypertension, diabetes, abdominal visceral fat, that would qualify you for metabolic syndrome criteria, is difficult to manage. But Lactobacillus reuteri ZJ617 ameliorates the symptoms of metabolic syndrome, especially hyperglycemia or elevated glucose induced by high-fat diet and also with high sugar diet. This modulates the host metabolism by interacting with the microbiome, resulting in the production of spermidine synthesized by the microbiota. Spermidine attenuates the metabolic syndrome. It is beneficial in healing the disease process of metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome, as I said, the center is the metabolism of sugar. When the sugar is not metabolized well, it increases and stimulates the sympathetic tone, stimulates the cortisol. It also stimulates the adrenals to produce norepinephrine and adrenaline. That's why sugar also predisposes you to increase high blood pressure for that mechanism. However, the regular use of Lactobacillus reuteri made in yogurt would help you with a metabolic syndrome, including diabetes, indirectly hypertension, and visceral fat. There's another specific bacteria called Lactobacillus gasseri that had been shown that even without dieting and exercising, Lactobacillus gasseri proved to decrease the visceral fat or the waistline that is associated with metabolic syndrome. If you have any questions so far about this topic, please drop a note. Please ask questions so we can discuss, and maybe we can share ideas on how we can make ourselves healthy. One last thing, microbiome can remain healthy if you meditate. Meditation, especially the unconditional love of Christ through His passion, helps shape a good kingdom of good bacteria, especially the Lactobacillus and the Bifidobacterium and Saccharomyces. Remember, diet also helps. It also is a factor. Sugar, high sugar, kills bacteria. Exercise improves the microbiome milieu. So lifestyle is also helpful in maintaining a good bacteria. Till next time, this is Dr. Raul Inan from Cadenza Medical Clinic. I'm here live from Naples Beach, Florida. If you want to come here, please drop a note and we'll have some good discussions to talk about. Thank you very much. God bless.